Kennedy. I live in Uxbridge. I've got two sons, Patrick and Angelo, that are diagnosed on the autism spectrum. They're now aged 30 and 27. I can't believe that I'm saying that they're that old. Because of their diagnosis, when we tried to find the right type of school for them, trying to find support, there was just nothing at all. So in the end, I was very frustrated reading lots of books about how early intervention is crucial for children on the spectrum. And I can't advocate for that enough, because the earlier you work with children, the better the outcomes. So yeah, we were at home 3 years, no schools to go to. I turned my garage into a little classroom. We had a little budgie in there called Charlie. And we had a South African lady. She was really lovely and really understood my son Patrick, but only had 5 hours tuition per week, because that's all the local authority gave me. And Angelo, he had a lovely lady called Margaret, but she'd never worked with a child like Angelo before, because he's got quite complex needs. He's got significant sensory processing condition, nocturnal epilepsy. So after the 3rd day, she just sat on the carpet and she started crying and she said, I don't know what to do.
Oh gosh.
I was very frustrated. So I thought there must be other parents like myself with sons and daughters that are on the spectrum, because I was told by the local authority that my children were unique, that there weren't any other children with autism in the area. But 275 families came out of the woodwork when I put out an article in the local Gazette, which the reporter I'm still friends with. And since then we remortgaged our home and we decided to set up a school. I thought, how hard can it be? It was really wasn't hard. It was just navigating to speak to the right people, and some people didn't want to speak to these people. Like, for example, the Department for Education weren't very good at communicating with various different departments. So anyway, in the end, we did it, and it was supposed to be a 3-year development plan, but we did it in 9 months, and that was because I was knocking on all the doors of the MPs, the councillors. I went to the probation service asking for their support. I went to British Airways, British Airport Authority, lots of different companies to say, come on, help us here. So then all these families are reading about it. So they said, we want to help, we want to help. So grandparents, furniture we were getting as well. Somebody gave us this battered old van. Drive into here, there and everywhere to get carpet towels, bookcases, whatever we could. And then we opened the school in September 1999. So 500 children have walked through the door since then. And both my boys, obviously, they received education finally. And then about 3 years, or maybe less than that, we met a gentleman that had a son that was in a mental health unit, and he was trying to get him out. He'd been misdiagnosed with schizophrenia. He didn't have it. He had autism, but they'd given him medication for schizophrenia, which then gave him psychotic episodes. So we decided we wanted to set up a vocational college and a residential home. Again, how hard could it be? Another different bodies to deal with again, but no, we did it. And now the college is split into 3 different areas. There's about 90 adults that go there, between 16 and I think the eldest is about 50. And then the residential home is for 8 adults. And then a bit later down the line, we opened another school in Kent. And then my charity was born in 2009, because lots of families were writing to me saying, oh, we can't find the right type of school for my son or my daughter. We're not getting a diagnosis. We don't know how to fill out these disability living allowance forms, all these different questions. So that's why I thought, right, I need to set up something. But I wanted it to be purely a charity where people volunteered their time because they wanted to do it. So everybody you see on the charity website, which is Anna Kennedy Online, everyone volunteers their time. They're either parents or carers of children or adults on the spectrum. They're either autistic adults themselves, or they've got somebody, within the family. There's only one person that isn't, which is Stephen, and he's been with us since the beginning. He's just part of our family, and he's learned so much about autism, and he just loves what we do. So he's somebody that that we've been working with for a long time.
Oh my gosh!
Snapshot.
Where on earth am I starting with that? That is absolutely incredible. I feel like maybe the first kind of question was always, where did it begin, and how was it born? But you've kind of just answered that. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's my
that sounds, yeah, exactly. And I think, when you've got somebody sat in front of you, and you're desperately trying to help them, you'll do anything you can, right?
Yeah, I always say to people, never take no for an answer. If someone says no, find someone else to say yes. Just
Yeah,
like be relentless,
yeah.
and you will get there in the end,
Mm,
and at least you know you've tried if you don't get to the result that you want. At least you could
yeah,
don't say, oh, I wish I'd have done that, I wish I'd done that.
yeah,
But for me, it's like if I say I'm going to do something, I'll just go to the ends of the earth to make it
yeah,
happen. So
yeah.
that's just the type of person I am.
Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it? I always say to people, when I'm asking for interviews, or all of these different things for the children that I work with, I always say, I'm sorry that I'm a nag, but I'm going to put it out there now.
Yeah,
It's because I desperately want your attention, and I desperately want you to say yes. And if you're not
yeah.
going to say yes now, you'll say it later on.
Sometimes you're afraid of people that might be in authority. Because I remember when I first started all of this, I used to think, which is really stupid, that like doctors, psychologists, MPs, they were better than me. Then I just thought,
Yeah.
no, they're not. They're just
No.
like me. It's just a job that they, are
Yes.
in, pave the way for our children and our adults so they get the opportunities that they deserve. And that's what I'm trying to do all the time.
Yeah. Amazing. Incredible. So your first school that you set up then, how you said that took 9 months?
Yeah, it's Hillingdon Manor School. We celebrated 20 years last year, so which was lovely. And like a lot of the families and children came back and adults. And then what was really lovely that one of our first students came back to start a job as a teaching assistant.
Wow. Oh my
So
gosh.
that was amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
That
so
is
that was
incredible.
lovely. Yeah. So yeah, so obviously things have changed a little bit now because of COVID, and
Mm,
so what you just do what you can.
yeah.
Obviously, some learning online. Obviously, children are going back to school next week, so just take it a day at a time, really, because
Yeah.
it's just all changed, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
We just got to try
definitely.
and prepare our children and our adults as much as we possibly can.
Yeah. So what kind of things have you kind of put in place then for them during this time? Because I know that I've done quite a lot of work in different schools with children who have autism, and I know that a lot of them struggle with change, don't they?
Yeah.
So what have you implemented there for them?
Just to try and give them as much information as possible for when they're coming back next week. Speak to parents. Obviously, some work was set for them as well over the holidays. But some children, which I've been speaking to families about, they find it difficult to learn online whether they're having any tutor. They need that person to be physically there. So
Yeah.
you've got mum who's looking after, or dad, or whoever it may be, looking after a child on the spectrum with all the challenges that they have, siblings trying to work and
Yeah.
do whatever it is. The parents are just worn out, absolutely. And I totally get that, because my son Angelo, he's 27, he just doesn't sleep a lot, he never has. So
Yeah.
I sometimes only get 2 or 3 hours sleep a night. Sometimes he might be awake all night long because it's just his brain's on the go all the time. And the other thing is he has no sense of danger, so I can't just leave him. I have
No.
to be awake with him. But I know I'm not going to be able to do it for the rest of my life. And I keep thinking right now, how am I going to do this? My eldest son, Patrick, he's got a job now, which is great. He's been working at
Excellent.
Pinewood for 2 years. He's loving it there. And he's also just got himself a place at university, Birkbeck, to do paleontology and earth sciences, because that's always been his passion. But I've
Yeah.
always said to him, why don't you have a job where you get paid for something that you love? But he didn't seem to want that. But the penny's beginning to drop because he was worried about, because it's a hobby, is it going to spoil it, a hobby, if I'm
Yeah.
really working in it? But now he's sort of thinking, well, why shouldn't I get paid for something I love to do? So
Yeah.
it's going to be starting in October. So yes, we've
Wow.
got the anxieties at home now. I'm going to manage work. I'm going to manage university. And we're going to, so all these sort of things. So we have to try and help him plan as much as possible. You know what? It's just never ending.
So true.
It doesn't
So
matter
true.
they're adults, it's just like it's never ending. And obviously with Angelo, he's always going to need one-to-one support because of his
Yeah.
how difficult his needs are. So, like for
Yeah.
example, we're going away at the weekend to see my mum. I haven't seen her since before Christmas. We go to a farm, and I know when it gets to Monday, Angelo had enough. He'll have packed his case. He'll be at the door.
Yeah.
Go,
Come on, Mum. We've done
car
it.
home, car home. So
Ah,
yeah. So it's just that's our life. And my sister always says to me, she makes me laugh. She goes, "You'd never be able to live my life. You'd be bored out your head."
it's so true, isn't it? It's so true. People say that when you take on so many, you've got so much to take on, and you just do it, and you plow
Yeah,
through, and people look in like through a window and go, "What? Or how on earth did you do all that?" And you just kind of think, "Oh, it's
yeah.
because that's kind of what you've known, and that's kind of what you've grown accustomed to, and you just roll with it."
You do need to have time out when you can. And I'm always
Yeah.
advocating to parents that if you've got a son or a daughter on the spectrum, try and have some time out, because if you burn out, you're no good to anyone. And I was
Yeah.
rubbish at that. But, I started walking because I used to love tap dancing. That was my thing. And then I didn't do anything for like 12 years. And that was because of the difficulties that my children were having. And Patrick was premature. He was only 2 pounds when he was born. So he had a lot of difficulties and all those sort of things. And then I saw an advert saying tap for fun. I thought, that's what's missing out of my life. So I started tap dancing, then I went to Zumba, and then I did Strictly. So that was amazing.
Brilliant. That's absolutely amazing. So
Yeah,
that's great, isn't it? That you yourself can, advocate to people that go and find a hobby if or rekindle one like you
yeah,
have. It's been so long, but I'm just going to go for it. And
yeah.
I bet you love it even more now than you did before.
You do. And it's like you can switch off, and I call it my autism free zone. So
Yeah.
just be Anna, just do what I want to do.
Yeah, amazing. So, how would you say autism awareness has changed over the years?
I think awareness raising is improving, but I think it's the acceptance that still got a lot to learn.
Okay.
Um, there's a lot of parents still struggling with things like trying to get a diagnosis. It's even worse now because of COVID. It's just like
Yeah.
really put us back quite a few years, I'd probably say. Schools, support, cuts, all those sort of things. So awareness raising is better because of programs, say, for example, like the A word. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people say, oh, that's not the way I live my life. But for me, if people are talking about autism, isn't that a positive thing?
Yeah.
So that's what I think. But I know you can never please everyone. That's another
No.
thing for sure.
No.
Doesn't matter
Definitely.
if you're Mother Teresa, they still have a go at you for something. So I always say, if you can put your hand on your heart and you are proud of what you do and you can hold your head up high, just carry on. Just don't listen to people who have, negativity or trolls or whatever it is. Blinkers on, just keep going.
Yeah. Because what you've got to remember is for every one negative person, you've impacted somebody else, So I kind of, yeah, absolutely. You've got to look at the purpose for why it is that you're doing it.
Yeah.
And, there's always going to be, like you say, somebody negative out there that's got something bad. They could say something bad about something that, pick holes in something that you can't even pick holes in. It's ridiculous.
As long
So,
as you're passionate, driven, enthusiastic,
yeah.
keep going. And I say, when I don't feel the passion anymore, when I don't feel the drive or the enthusiasm, then I feel it's time to stop. But I don't think I will.
No, you'll be doing it forever and ever and ever.
Yeah. And why not?
Absolutely. So the training programs and things, how do you think that they've helped you and what you're doing?
Okay, so training, we have training where we go into companies or we might go into schools. We're starting to do workshops online now because obviously what's been going on, and they've been really well received. We're just planning one for mental health now because obviously it's going to be Mental Health Awareness Week in October. I'm doing chats as well online. Like for example, I've done one with Casey Ainsworth, one of our ambassadors, because her husband's on the spectrum, her son's on the spectrum. So we have these chats. I did one with Carrie Grant as well, which went really, really well. She was on that. I couldn't get her off. She was she's great. And then now I'm doing one with Richard Mylan, who's also an actor. He's on Waterloo Road, and he did Richard and Jacko, which was a documentary.
His son.
Yeah. So yeah, we do. I'm thinking out of the box of ways of doing things differently. Training is obviously key, especially for adults that want to work. A lot of companies don't really understand about reasonable adjustments and what can be done. And sometimes it's just something really small, it might not be huge. I think companies worry about it's going to cost them a lot of money to make some reasonable adjustments. But sometimes, say for example, my son, he was finding it difficult at Uxbridge College when he was doing a course. And the difficulty was because they'd sat him at the back. There was too much distraction going on with his sensory stuff. He was getting really, really hot. So I said, sit him at the front and just put a little fan on his desk, he'll be fine. And he got distinction for his first year, but and just something small like that. Or say, for example, where he's working, if you give him like a timeout space where he can just make it his own. So he's got this little space, he goes for his lunch, and then he'll go there for 20 minutes to have a nap. And the reason is it's because of all this social interaction that's going on at work. He needs to, regroup and get to start again in the afternoon. And how much is that going to cost? Hardly anything. So so training for me is key. Training for me is key in education, in health, whatever facilities that you're looking at for children and adults on the spectrum. And it has to be consistent training, not like, oh, let's do half a day today and then you never do anything else again. It's got to be consistent training and good training.
Do you find that a lot of people, when you approach them for it, do you find that they're just scared because they don't know enough about it?
There's that. Usually what you get is when people approach you, it's because it's a parent that's working there or it's an adult that's working there and they like what they do, but there's things that are not working for them. So they'll usually come and say, would you mind? I've spoken to the HR or I've spoken to whatever. And it's also like that with schools as well, where you get a parent contact you, their son or daughter might be getting bullied at school. Would you mind coming in just to start off by doing an assembly? I don't want you to say that boy there's been bullied, just do a general assembly. And you know what? The kids really welcome what you've got to say. And I always remember one particular assembly that I was like choked up. We were sat there and we were chatting about it, and then at the end of it, this little girl came up to me and she gave me a hug and she just said, thank you so much. She said, my brother's autistic and I've never ever told anyone. So she said, now you've talked about it to everyone, I feel that I can do it, I can tell people, and I don't have to be ashamed. And she just said, oh, thank you. So I just thought, you know what, it was worth doing it just for that. So I always say, when you go somewhere and you do a talk or you go to a conference, if you get one thing out of it, it's worth doing.
Absolutely. So talking about like activities and things that you put in place with the children and the adults for like craft and things, what do you find that they love the most? What is
they're really quite creative. So for example, I always say as well, for example, if you're in mainstream, a lot of our children really struggle at lunchtime, and that's because it's the most unstructured time. Sometimes they haven't got a clue what they're talking about, because they've got their special interests. So what I have suggested as well as when we've gone into schools is why some schools do have them, is have lunchtime clubs. So let them create the lunchtime clubs. So some of them evolve, and they keep changing. So the girls might have a pamper club, or you might have a learn an instrument club, or I remember one group, they said they wanted to do a paper plane flying club, whatever rocks your boat. So that helps to give more structure to the day. And the other thing is that little pocket of time at lunchtime or at break time can really impact on their day, and also can like cause a lot of stress, thinking, oh, lunchtime's coming, I can't cope with that, I can't do that, whatever it is. Or even if you give them a job in the library, whatever it is, there's always things that you can do, and it helps them. And another big thing I would say is keep talking to parents, because they know their sons and daughters really, really well. So keep that line of communication open so that you can work together and the son or daughter's not getting mixed messages.
Yeah, perfect, brilliant. We went, I was asked by, so one of the parents of the children that I work with in our TOTS class, she's only little, and her mum runs the autistic unit in a local school, and she said, look, we're looking at things that for the children to do. I think they'd love to do some drama. And I was like, yeah, cool, brilliant. So I did like a plan and everything, and and got it sent to her, and she was like, this is great. And I went in there, and I think there was about 15 of them, all aged between 7 and 11, and we created like a little play.
Yeah.
And do you know what, they were fantastic. Every week I'd bring in different things
Yeah.
depending on what, you know, what the theme was, and they'd always have like the week to prepare for the theme. And do you know what, they were absolutely amazing, all of them having never done any kind of drama stuff before, apart from obviously play.
And it gives them confidence.
Oh, some of them in the 10 weeks, it was unbelievable. Like different children. They wouldn't even speak to me the first week, you know. It was just, you know, they wouldn't even acknowledge you. And then the last week, like they were coming up to you and giving you a high five, or like they'd made you a card because they'd had such a good time. And you kind of think like, that's magic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the thing is with our children as well is it's the lack of trust, so they're checking you out as well, because
Yeah.
let down in the past, maybe they've been bullied, or you know, they haven't had a successful placement at school, so they're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to fail again, or whatever it is. So you've just got to basically, you know, try and give them as much confidence as possible, work with them, you know, use things that they're interested in to get them intact. There's lots of different things that you can do. So so that's why I created Autism's Got Talent, because of, like, you know, it started off with an anti-bullying campaign, because parents are writing to me about their children being bullied at school, adults about being bullied within the community or online. So I did a campaign called Give Us a Break with Esther Ranson and the Anti-Bullying Alliance. And then from then, what evolved was Autism's Got Talent. And it was because people were sending in videos of them singing, dancing, magicians, musicians, you name it. They were saying, and I was just thinking, this is amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of them as well had taught themselves how to play the guitar, maybe on YouTube or
it's crazy.
So I thought I need to do something. And at that time, I was introduced to Maggie Patterson from Pineapple Performing Arts, which is based at Pineapple Dance Studios. And then she said, would you like to come to a show? So I said, oh, I went to the Mermaid Theatre, and that's when I started thinking, I want to do Autism's Got Talent here. This is where it needs to be. So I spoke to Maggie. I said, are you willing to give it a go with me? She said, oh, I'm in. So we got the stage manager involved as well, Fiona, and she's been doing it ever since. So we're celebrating 10 years next year. We should have been doing it in June. We'd just chosen all of our 20 performers, and then it was like, oh, lockdown. So they're all saying, oh, we were so looking forward to it. So I said, don't worry, we're going to invite you to the 10th year celebration, May the 8th. So that's where you can perform. So fingers crossed.
Incredible.
Be going ahead, and it's just become really, really well known. So we've had acts from all over the world, like Croatia, America, Canada, Italy, France, and we had the Croatian ambassador that turned up as well. It's really been amazing. It's been on TV with like Katie Price because of Harvey. It was on BBC Breakfast. So it's, you know, we've done quite a bit. So we're really looking forward to the 10th year anniversary next year. So that's something. And then it's evolved into a roadshow as well. So we've got the Ives, Liverpool, we've been to Essex, we've been to Middlesbrough, we did it at Teesside University, and then in Stockton. So it's like,
that's awesome.
Travels. We were supposed to be going to Cheshire to celebrate their 10th year anniversary, but they had to cancel that, so that's been moved to next year now. Yeah.
That's amazing though. That is amazing though, isn't it? Because, you know, you're giving them a platform in which to express themselves and showcase what they can do. I think so many times, you know, I've spoken to children, and they always constantly focusing on the negatives, and you kind of think, well, is that because that's what they feel that they're just getting out of everything? Everybody's just being negative about it, and you're giving them a space there to go, look at what I can do. And so many of them are so creative. I couldn't get over, you know, like, they'd sit for hours and watch YouTube videos, and then you see them playing an instrument, and you think, how have you learned that? And they go, oh, I watch YouTube, and they will religiously sit there and watch it, and you think, my God, like, you know, you can play that piano better than anyone I've ever heard.
Well, I've got a competition at the moment that I've just started. I thought, right, because I'm thinking of different competitions. So I did one for VE Day. We had some amazing posters, and then I did one for a sugar rush cake thing. So I thought, let them create cakes or brownies or cookies that they feel represent autism. So we had some great creations, and now I'm asking them to do life in lockdown through art and photography. So they're already coming in. All the entries have already started coming in. I only sort of put it out there a couple of days ago. So I've got 3 judges again, people who support my charity, so like David Grant, he's got 2 kids on the spectrum. Dr. Pam Spur's been to nearly every event that we do. She loves it. And then we've got Chris Wilde, who's an artist himself. He was brought up in the care system. He's worked with autistic adults as well. So he's really excited, and he's been to quite a few of our. So I like to get people on board that, you know, really appreciate what our children and adults can do. So really looking forward to that. So yeah.
That's excellent.
And we go to somewhere called Burnham Beaches, and it's like a nature reserve, and it's just so beautiful there, really relaxing. So we all sit on the same bench. We go to the that was the other thing, because everything changed so that you couldn't sit on the benches like you normally do, and he's like standing there with his arms on his hips thinking, what's going on
what's
here?
happening? Yeah,
you know, especially with, you know, wearing masks and all that sort of thing. So they've had a lot of things to get used to, really. So so anyway, we get our sausage roll and his drink, and then I get my piece of lemon cake, which he always eats half of it anyway, and then we sit on the bench, and there's like these trees that just sort of cross over at the front, and we were just sitting there, and then all of a sudden he just looked up and he went, "Wonderful world." And I thought, where did that come from? Wow. But he does these little nuggets, and it's like, I want more from you. But you know, he's it was just like little things like that. They're really nuggets and lovely memories.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Because you know that they're taking it in, you know that they're, you know, and when they give back like that, it just makes everything just so worthwhile. I should admit it. How do you put in place different things within, you know, your home and schooling? Because this is another thing that lots of people don't realize, that autism is not just one big, everybody who has autism is the same, and I think that's
different.
Everybody is so different, and I think that's the thing. When I went into the school, like the teacher was saying to me about it, and we were learning about how everybody was so different, and I said I didn't understand why everybody would presume that they were the same, because we're all different. But when you speak to people, they just assume that this is what autism looks like. Therefore this is what it's kind of like, they're all collected into one. So how do you do that, you know, within your programs?
You've got to get to the individual first. They're a child or an adult first, and then they're also for me second. So you just get to know them. So say for example at night time with Angelo, he needs something to black out the white noise, so he has to have the fan on, and my son has the fan on at night time as well, where for me I couldn't think of anything worse. No fan for me. It has to be pitch black, dark, and everyone's got to be quiet. Where with them it's like a fan, a night light, so you get to know your son or your daughter. The other thing is sometimes they say, oh, not too much clutter on the walls, where some children and adults want lots of stuff on the walls, all the things that they like. Some children and adults want nothing on the walls, minimalist. So the bottom line is, before you do whatever it is that you do, thinking, oh, I want to do this because this is what's for autistic children or adults, get to know them first. And it's sometimes it's trial and error as well. So you just got to keep trying. And also it might work for a little while, and then all of a sudden it won't work anymore. So you've got to think out of the box and think. Because when Angelo was little, he used to walk around with a blue brick. It was like a blue wooden brick. And if you lost this brick, it was like the end of the world. So I bought 12 of them. So if he lost one, at least another one. But it's just, but now obviously he doesn't do that. But it's just whatever the comfort thing is. And another thing, some people say, oh, stop children and adults from stimming, like this sort of thing, or whatever it is that they do, flapping. And it's just, that's their way of coping. So why should you stop them? You know, obviously if you're out in the shop and they're jumping up and down, you've got to try to keep them safe. But it's just their way of like getting it out of the system, whatever. So,
but I always think, like, for me, if I'm really stressed, like I'm playing with my hair, or I'm like, everybody has that thing, you know, like my mum's really funny. When my mum's annoyed, like she does this with her pen. It's the funniest thing. And I'm like, are you annoyed? And I can see her hands going, and she's like, why would you think that? And I'm like, the hands twitch. Like everybody does have their own little things that they do, or their own little, not rituals, but just things that they do that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's just like, I know my son, because I've got an Italian background, so that's why I use my hands a lot. But my son hates it. Patrick, he's going, can you stop using your hands? It's just like, and then I'm thinking, oh God. But
bless him. I drive him up the wall because I'm the same. Constantly.
It's just the way we express ourselves.
Yeah.
My son's got he used to be like a walking encyclopedia when he was a child, and then he used to like test you as well.
Yeah.
So it's just like on tenterhooks. And also he would remember things that you said a few days ago, and then he'd ask you the same thing. And obviously everyone's not going to answer back in the same way.
So my last question for you is the future. What do you think? You've already said to me that you've got 2 schools, you've got the respite, you've got it's all going on. Are you thinking of opening anything else or expanding anything?
I'd like to grow the charity a bit more.
Okay.
I also would like Autism's Got Talent to go to Wembley.
Yes, do it.
But obviously we need someone to sponsor it for us. So if there's somebody out there that could, what I'm looking for is for our performers to perform alongside mainstream singers and bands, just to show they're just as good as they are. So that would be something that it's always been at the back of my mind, and it's something I've always spoken about. So I would love to do that in the future. I'd love to set up a business as well that's made up of adults on the spectrum. I've still got lots of ideas that I'd like to do. People keep asking me to write a second book. It's been since 2009, so that's a possibility. I might do that in the next few years. So yeah, lots of things.
Amazing. Well, let me know if you need me to help you out with anything. I've got loads of friends within the theatre industry, and obviously I've got my own theatre company, so it'd be really cool, like if you had maybe a choir or a group of children that wanted to sing with our kids, we'd love that.
Oh, right, brilliant. Yeah.
Yes.
So if anyone's interested in looking at what we do, if you check out the charity website, check out our YouTube channel, you'll see lots of things that are going on there. Some of the singers from Autism's Got Talent. One of my singers, I get people like, for example, Britain's Got Talent or The Voice, they contact me saying, have you got anyone for us? So all those sort of things. Just check out the YouTube channel. You'll see lots of different fabulous stuff on there.
Awesome. That sounds fantastic. And your book, you're going to do another one. Write another one.
I don't know when. I keep saying I am.
You've got no time.
I know. But I'll probably do it, I don't know, in the next couple of years. I think I should, because the book stopped at when I got the keys to the school, and I've just done so much more since then. So yeah.
Incredible. And do you think you'd collaborate with someone on that, or do you think it would be all your own work?
I'd probably get a ghostwriter. And how I did it last time was with a ghostwriter, and I found it easier that way, where I just spoke to a dictaphone when things came into my mind, or if I woke up in the middle of the night, I just tapped things over, and then that's how we did it. And he says, this is what's missing, this is what's missing, this is how we need to fit this, that type of thing. It was quite therapeutic. Almost some of the time it was like having counselling. Think of everything that had happened throughout the years and what have you. And it was quite nerve-wracking when it first came out. I spoke on Radio 4, and within like an hour of me speaking on Radio 4, it went to #1 in Amazon, which was like, woo!
Wow, that's awesome.
That was amazing.
That's amazing. So I'm guessing you've had a lot of followers from that.
Yeah, a lot of parents saying, oh, you've motivated me. I was in a really, I was really down. I get a lot of followers as well on my social media where parents follow me, or carers or adults. And it's just, they're looking for motivation, and it's almost like, oh, Anna's keeping going. So, she's motivating me. I've got some parents that say first thing in the morning, they look to see what I've been up to. They should, people say, they should bottle what I'm on, because it So I don't know where I get the energy from, considering I only sleep for like 3 or 4 hours. So I don't know, but I just know it's obviously something inside of me that passion, I suppose, keeps me going. You've got to burn myself out.
Yeah, you've got a good drive, haven't you? And that's the thing, like, we kind of have gone full circle here. You started it by saying that you were looking for people who were like you, and now people are looking to you and going, there are other people out there.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I've had a great time.
Oh, thank you. And good luck with everything you do.
Well, I'll keep in touch with you, and I'll keep you up to date with the channel. I'll send you the link, and please do. Please let me know what you're doing, and if you need anything from the theatrical side of it, I'll give you a hand.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
No worries at all. Take care of yourself.
Stay safe.
Yes, you too. See you later.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much, Anna, and all the best of luck with everything that you've got planned over the next year. Autism's Got Talent sounds fantastic, and hopefully I'll be able to be there and enjoy it with you all too. Take care. Lots more guests still to come. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.